everyone. I'm your host, Sanjana Balaraman, and I'm in conversation with the Global Director of Community Outreach and Analyst Relations at Freshworks, Alan Berkson. And we're going to be talking you through some work from home best practices to help us get through this time. Alan, how are you doing? How is it going so far?
What should I say? I'm doing as well as can be expected.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing well. I mean, and we'll talk about it. I've been working home for a long time, so that's not new for me.
Yeah. I mean, I did some research and I realized that you've been working from home almost 7 years. What got you started there? What's the story behind that?
Well, it's kind of out of necessity. I have the unique distinction of being the first person hired by Freshworks outside of Chennai.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I'm based in New York, and we didn't have an office in New York. So basically, it was start working from home. That was it, and that was it'll be 7 years for me in June.
Wow. So you're pretty much a veteran at this point. I'm just starting out myself, and I just wanted to know, like, what are some tips and tricks you think that I need to keep in mind as a first timer with working from home? I know there are a lot of people out there who are doing it for the first time right now, out of necessity again. So you have a little bit that you can relate in the situation, I guess.
Quite a bit. So the first thing I will say for anybody who's doing this for the first time is it's hard. And if it feels hard, it is hard. You've got to learn some new skills. It's like anything you do for the first time. Maybe your muscles will be sore for a while. You have to learn how to manage your time differently. You have to learn how to manage your communications differently. So if it feels hard, it is. And there are productivity factors. There are psychological factors. You're alone. And we could talk about some of the different tips in terms of managing your time, managing your interactions with your colleagues and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, one of the things I actually found a little bit difficult was that at work, you organically take some breaks, you go talk to colleagues, you go talk to friends. And when you're at home, it's just like one huge stretch of just plain work. So how do you deal with that? Do you put in breaks yourself, or how do you deal with that?
You have to be a little bit more disciplined when you're working from home. It's one of the things that I always talk to people about when they're doing it for the first time. Part of it is what I call creating your rules of engagement.
Mhm.
All right. So when you're in the office, people know you're at work, and when you're at home, people know you're at home. When you're at home working, people don't know.
Exactly.
So what can you do as an individual to help do that? One of the things that I always suggest is make sure your calendar's up to date, and put your personal time in your calendar. When I mean personal time is if somebody needs to book a meeting with you, they're going to look in they're not going to come over and tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, can we talk now?" Because you're not in the same office. So they're going to look at your calendar, and if they see a free spot, they'll fill it. So you should put that, put your lunch, taking a walk. A lot of people, are in a situation where they have their children at home as well right now. So
Yeah, that's true.
you got to put that in. Do you need to spend some time? And it depends on your employer, but I mean, you may have to spend time during the day doing stuff, and then maybe do some more work at night when you've got more opportunities. So start with your rules of engagement. How are you accessible? I know on Slack you can put in a little message saying my work hours are, because I know that we use Slack. We use Slack at Freshworks. But that's the biggest part. And then for yourself, I think you need to also think about, how do I define being at work? I have a space. So I know when I walk into my home office, I'm at work. And my family knows when I'm in here, I'm at work. And that kind of helps make with your discipline, it helps you get your mindset changed. Normally, if you're a commuter, you walk out of the house and your brain starts to go into work mode, and you start to think about what you have to do that day. And then on your way home, your brain gets out of work mode and but you don't have those transitions at home. So you have to really think more about, how are you going to define that? It's hard, but it's the same thing. Your work hours. Are your work hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., 9, whatever that is. Just put it in your calendar and make sure that your family is aware of it as well. Or as I say, what do people say now? This, I love it. Everybody says, refer to anybody in your house as your coworkers. So if your coworker comes over and says, I need to go to the bathroom, and I'm talking about like your 5-year-old coworker or something like that.
Yeah, I'm in a unique situation where pretty much everyone at home who's working is working from home as well. So we're all in different rooms, holed up,
Right,
doing this.
exactly, exactly.
um, okay, well, just to wind up, like, what are some of the apps and tools that you think are must-haves if you're working from home? Is there anything specific that you use?
Well,
Headphones or like?
the first thing I think is really important is to have a good headphones and
Mhm.
microphone.
Yeah,
You're going to do a lot of video calls, and I will say that the sound is much more important
yeah, yeah,
than the quality of the video. If somebody's sort of hazy and you can't see them, as long as you can hear them.
yeah,
So make sure
yeah,
that you have, and not only that, but make sure you have a quiet place in your home
yeah.
that you can do that. You have this great, you know, blank background. I have a coworker, so I have other stuff in the background on mine. Um, but having good sound is really important. I think also in terms of apps, one of the things that you have in the office that you don't have at home is access to information that you take for granted. So I think it's important to have a notes taking app.
Okay.
It could be in a Google Doc, it could be in Evernote, it could be in notes on whatever it is, but have a good notes taking app because you have to know where to find stuff and you want to be able to keep track of conversations that you have with colleagues. In the office, you might just tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey, where is
Yeah,
this? Or how do I do this?
yeah,
But you may be working at 9 p.m. because that's what it was that day, and your coworker who you normally work with, they're not working right now. You can't reach anybody. So
yeah.
have a really good note taking app. I think that having a communication tool in terms of chat, whether it's WhatsApp or we use Slack. I'm not going to endorse any particular app, um,
Yeah.
but having something to have a place where everybody can have conversations, having a good um, conferencing tool in order to video conferencing tool to make sure that you can get on those calls and have multiple people facing each other. One thing I will point out, though, when you talk about just getting back, because this is, I think, is a key factor from working from home.
Yeah.
Isolation is a big challenge at home,
Yes.
and I think that one of the habits I have is you have those random hallway conversations, right? You just
Yeah.
walking around. I randomly reach out to people at Freshworks and say, "Hey, can we talk for 20 minutes?"
Yeah.
And just so you have it's just with no agenda. Hey, I just
Like
want
a
to chat.
sanity call.
Exactly. I recommend those. In terms of other tools, look, we live in for some organizations, it's harder to do some of their productivity tools because maybe they're based on premise. You're probably working with a VPN or something like that. At Freshworks, we're born in the cloud, so we've got all our cloud tools. I would say note taking and well, for me, I have an app. Actually, this is a cool one. It shows me the time zones, and I have one, two, three,
Yeah.
four, five. I have 9 time zones that I have to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Um, and so that's pretty much it from apps. Have good technology so you can have conversations, take good notes. Um, uh, Another tip I'll give, which I think is this is on the positive side. There's a lot of negatives that that have in terms of working from home. It causes stress. Everybody who's working from home, if they were working in an office, they had a commute.
Yeah.
Your commute might have been 15 minutes each way. It might have been, I mean, I live in the New York City area. It could be, an hour and a half each way. But you
Yeah.
have 30 to 60 minutes a day that you've just been
Extra.
given back.
Yeah.
And my suggestion is use that time for yourself
Yeah.
and be disciplined about using the time for yourself, whether it's just meditating, listening to music, rediscovering a passion you had, or finding a new hobby, learning how to play an instrument, learning a new language, whatever it is. Do it for yourself because uh, like I said, working at home is not everything it's cracked up to be. Everybody thinks it's all like rainbows and unicorns and it would be the best thing in the world. It's got challenges. Isolation is one of them. Fatigue. You tend to work more. It's funny. People think, "Oh, can I have people work at home? Will they work enough?" Actually, if they're good employees, they'll probably work more.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that you take care of yourself. Especially now, you want to keep your immune system up. Take care of yourself.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. Um, anyway, thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope this has been useful to everyone watching this.